Well, after quite a long absence, it must be said, I've managed to get Annie out of hibernation, and that's because today's a very special day. Annie is going in for a full engine rebuild. She's going all the way down to Coventry. I've got some money to pay the chap who's driving her down, so yeah, I'm very excited. It's been such a long time since I've sat inside this car. Damn, I miss this thing. But yeah, when she's all running again, I'll be very happy. So, yeah, very low on battery at the moment, so, but yeah, I can't wait till she's all fixed up. Right, I've just got to empty some things out the boot and then we'll be loading her on, so I'm very excited. So I guess it leaves me with this. Yep, this is Paul, my 1999 Peugeot 306 LXD. This is a naturally aspirated diesel and it's great for a number of reasons which I hope to explain in this video. For starters, this is my first car with electric windows. It's also my first car with airbags. In fact, it's my first car with a Euro NCAP rating. And the luxury does not stop there. I've got velour seating. I've got a vanity mirror on this side. The car itself is a car that I've always described as the last good Peugeot. And there's a number of reasons for that. For one, the 306 was actually one of the last cars to use the famed XUD diesel engine. The XUD is one of those engines which is just indestructible. You can put one of these for your nuclear apocalypse and it will come out fine. One thing I will say about the 306 that I love in particular is just how spacious it is. Even in the back here, I'm 6'3" and with the driver's seat in my position, you've got to admit, this is a fair amount of space. Certainly a very practical car. So I know what you lot are probably thinking. You lot are probably begging to know how much I paid for such a wonderful slice of French magnificence. Well, I only gave £200, which is a great amount of money. Though there are problems. Namely, this window doesn't work. Well, you can sort of hear it, but it doesn't do anything. So that needs fixing. The rear wiper is also slightly broken. So I'm guessing that you lot are wanting to know just how well a car like this drives for 200 quid. Well, let's find out, shall we? When you're driving this car around in town, the suspension and the seats work really well together to give you this amazing ride, and really, really comfortable it is too. I mean, I've been driving this around Telford for a couple of months now, and there's very little about the ride that I don't actually like. Then there's the engine itself. Now these cars with the naturally aspirated 1.9 XUD produces 70 horsepower, which may not seem like an awful lot. However, this actually puts this car slap bang in the middle between my first and my current classic, which is that my little Mark II Fiesta had 50 horsepower. Annie the Alpine has 90, or will have 90 when she comes from a rebuild. And yeah, this actually goes slap bang in the middle, but this is the only diesel car I've actually owned. And the first thing you notice when you do drive is it is actually surprisingly torquey. And the gearing is so suited to this engine because it allows you to pull away very, very quickly. And we've got a lovely little indicator click. It's a lovely noise. And actually the whole car actually sounds quite nice. The engine, surprisingly enough, when you get going,
the exhaust note is actually quite fruity. I mean, I don't want to be one of these people who go, oh, you can't tell it's a diesel. You can tell it's a diesel because when you start up from cold, it goes blah, 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 blah. But otherwise, it's fantastic fun to drive. And the thing is as well, is that this car was also the basis for the Citroen ZX. So that's another car with this sort of suspension setup and around about this size. So both cars are actually quite practical propositions. Now, in terms of practicality, the 306 is a fantastic car. Reliability, again, right up there with the practicality. This car just doesn't break. That's the thing, you've got an engine that'll outlive most civilizations, and it doesn't and these cars don't really rot either. There's a weak spot in the rear seatbelt mountings, but in this particular example, this is not bad at all. Now, for that 200 quid price, I actually bought this off my best mate Typhon, who has made a few appearances in Annie the Alpine episodes before, as I'm sure you guys will remember. And ooh, that's a new road, I haven't seen that before. But yeah, he basically, after Annie stopped working properly, I was in need of transport, and Typhon, bless his heart, sold me his Peugeot because he'd just got a hold of a Jaguar XJ6. He didn't need the Peugeot anymore, so he sold it to me for 200 quid, of which I'm still paying him off for it gradually. So that's the thing, it was timed very well with the fact when I was only working the one job and didn't have any spare money. But now I've got the second, which is why my video output has been quite slow over the last couple of months. But now I've got two jobs. Paying for this car is less daunting. I'm actually halfway there now. And also paying for Annie's rebuild is such a possibility, which is why I've gone ahead with it. Yeah, we're just going through an industrial estate now. As you can see, quite a busy one. It is rush hour. I did leave it quite late in the day. Quite intentionally, actually, because I wanted the low light, because this Nordic green, which this car is painted in, absolutely shines in low light. It is a beautiful colour, the Nordic green. It's a solid colour that is lacquered, and this is something that the French did a lot of at this time. And oh my word, if you guys could see the queue that's ahead of me. Oh dear. So seeing that I'm stuck in traffic, I may as well talk about just how good this car actually is. The first thing that one thing that I absolutely adore about this thing, apart from the space and the comfort, is just how well equipped it is. But there's also quite an unusual thing, because you think about it, this car's got the naturally aspirated diesel, which is the lowest powered engine out of all the engines that the 306 had, because the next one up was the 1.4 petrol, which had 75 horsepower. And also, I've just become aware that you might not be able to see me right, because I've got a Nissan Juke behind me, so naturally it's shining all of its light behind my face, so you probably won't be able to see me properly. But trust me when I say it, you know. So you're just going to have to make do with the audio at least, because I can't stop people buying oversized cars. So yeah, anyway, engine-wise, this is the least powerful engine of the bunch, it being the 1.9 naturally aspirated diesel. Yet the equipment is actually quite staggering. I've got electric mirrors, though only one of them works. I've got electric windows up front, though only one of them works. I've got rain sensing wipers, which do work and actually work very, very well. I've got electric leveling headlights. I've got airbags. This seat that I'm sat on isn't just adjustable in terms of reach like most cars, it's also adjustable in rake as well, again like most cars, but is also height adjustable. This seat isn't, because that's where the pauper sits. This car also has air conditioning, but I couldn't tell you if it actually works, because the heater itself, like the heater controls down here on the dashboard, don't actually work. The direction switch does, so I can direct air to different parts of the car, but I can't control the blower motor from here, and I can't control the heat. I've actually got a little switch just mounted on top of the fuse cover. There you go. Which is set to maximum. Oh, come on, people. Come on! My bladder's about to explode! This guy is trying to bully his way in. I'm going to assert my dominance by mating with the rear bumper of the car in front. I've already let one guy out, I'm not letting another one in. Especially if it's into the lane which I'm in. Oh, come on, people! Why are you so slow? It's a 50 limit. Do 50. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. This is the point. This is something that I want to raise, is the fact that I'm in a naturally aspirated diesel car which has 70 horsepower, weighs over a ton, has a 0 to 60 time of 18 seconds, this car, yet, every single person in a modern car is holding me up right now because modern cars are so much quicker. People do doubt the build quality of Peugeots, but the simple fact of the matter is this Peugeot, which is 20 years old, has over 200,000 miles on it, has actually survived very, very well. You've got to think, 200,000 miles in 20 years, that is at least what? That is about 10,000 miles a year, isn't it? So this is basically normal use that's brought this car to this particular stage. The seat that I'm sitting on has absolutely no wear on it whatsoever. The engine, once you've let the glow plugs warm up, which I will admit takes a little while, I assume that either the relay is going old or the plugs themselves are going old, but once the plugs have actually warmed up, it literally 2 cranks and the thing fires up. And there's that Duke again. The handling of this car is immense. It handles so well. Trust the French to develop a car which rides like a Rolls Royce and handles like a Lotus. Frankly, no other country is able to do that. The Germans can't do it. They just can't. Every single one of their cars has ridiculously firm seats and ridiculously firm suspension. And I'm talking everything. I'm talking Volkswagen, Mercedes, BMW, Audi. All their cars are way too firm. This car is just, so comfy, so comfy. I can see why my grandmother had one of these. In fact, that was one reason why I wanted this car. Because as soon as I heard that Typhon was selling it, I actually did say to him, I would buy it if I could afford it. Which is why, when I needed a car to get around, he sold it to me. And the main reason why I wanted one of these is because my grandmother had one, and I remembered it served her very, very well. It had I can't remember the engine, but I remember it was a sort of metallic red, and it had the semi-automatic gearbox. It had to have a rebuild once, but I remember my took excellent care of this car. It still smelled like a brand new car inside. It was fantastic. I remember it being very well equipped. I remember it being very, very comfortable. She used to trek from Winsford up to Scotland frequently in that car while we were living up there, while I was growing up there. And then she ended up writing it off in a ditch. And I actually remember being quite sad when I heard that, because I absolutely loved that 306. I couldn't imagine my grandmother in anything else. The 306 was just perfect. It just suited her down to the ground. It did everything that she wanted to do and more. So, and I think there's quite a few elderly people who do have, or did have, 306s. It's a very, very, very good car. Because you got to think, this car's main rival was the Golf. That's this car's main rival. And you got to say, 1993, when the first 306s came out, you got to compare them against the Mark III Golf. In terms of styling, there's no competition. This car is just better by miles. It's a far more attractive looking car than a Golf. I've driven a couple of Mark III Golfs, and they're all right. They're perfectly serviceable, but the problem is that they're still a little bit firm. They still don't ride very, very well. They handle well enough, but they don't really ride that well. This car just, even though you could probably hear that there is something worn on the suspension that's causing those clonks, but the ride is still superb. It's a very good ride indeed. The brakes are good, and this car's got ABS too. So this is my first car with ABS. and it works very, very, very well, which is handy because the front tyres on this are a little bit worn out, so they need replacing before this car's MOT later this month. The handling on this thing is superb. You just throw it into a corner and it just clings on. Once though, I have had the tail step out on this car where I'll be going round a roundabout in the wet, but actually the car responded very, very well. It responded very well to me just going, oi, come back in line, you. It just did exactly what I told it to do. The thing that I find just the weirdest thing about this car is the spec. It's a naturally aspirated diesel with 70 horsepower, the least desirable engine in the range, okay? It's an LX, so it's around about sort of mid to high level trim. It's not the highest, it's not the lowest, it's somewhere in between. Pretty decent trim level. Oh, we're about to go through quite a tight corner and change down a cog and way. Just sticks to it like glue. And that was done at 30, by the way, which is the limit of the road, so we're groovy. Anyway, the spec of this car I've always found very interesting because someone decided, yes, I want a naturally aspirated diesel engine, but I want the rain sensing wipers, I want ABS, I want electric windows, I want a boot lamp. Yeah, someone decided that they wanted loads of convenient features, but they didn't want an engine with more poke. Someone specifically wanted the naturally aspirated diesel, which is perfectly fine. It's a perfectly serviceable engine, and I'm actually having great fun. In towns, this thing is amazing. Fuel economy is excellent. There's very little I can fault this car for. There's very little I can fault this engine on, apart from lack of top-end grunt. That's basically it. But that's the case with all diesel engines. There's just all the power, all the actual torque is at the bottom end. Petrol engines is where you get the power right at the top end. So the handling on this car is great. I love the space. I mean, you can probably see as well, I've got quite a fair bit of headroom in here. I'm very comfortable because I've got nice squishy seats that actually go, you know, someone should have put I'm surprised that nobody thought to put a squeaker in these seats at the factory. So you go, because it is so squishy. It's so squishy and soft, and it's just lovely. It's an absolutely lovely place to be. And I'm confronted by this wonderful dashboard. I love the angular design of it, and also it's not a very deep board. It's, you know, it only comes up to about the level of the door mirrors, and you don't have an awfully curved windscreen. It's quite a flat screen, so you've got quite a, you know, a nice depth dashboard which isn't intrusive at all. Where you get into a modern car and you've got a dashboard which is about 15 miles deep, and it just ruins the experience, truth be told. Yeah, all in all, I think that just about concludes my little road test of my new car. And if you guys can still see me, because yes, it's got quite dark all of a sudden. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed a look at Paul the Peugeot, let me know in the comments below. This is a car that is effectively my daily user. It's my daily rattler. So if you guys want to see more on this car, then please let me know, and I'll be sure to upload more content on this car at some point. So anyway, guys, that's it from me. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon. Once I start off again, just to stop about 10 feet away. Thank you for watching, folks.